Welcome to the Negro News Network, where you get all your colored folks news daily.
Weekly. Yes. He was doing his best news anchor voice, I guess. You know,
I think it worked.
Yeah.
I think I got it.
You know,
if anybody's listening,
his
soiree
into serious news. What would your news name be?
It can't be my regular name.
It could.
Victor Purcell.
It could. That's kind of newsy.
Yeah, there it is.
That works.
Victor Purcell.
It could definitely be.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
You have to say it very professionally.
Good evening.
And very good evening.
Yeah. It's got a ring. Well,
yeah.
The Intellectual Show.
Intellectucool Show.
Which man, this I actually have a lot of things to kind of think about more so on this show. Because I'm finding myself in that space and place in life. It's like, you know what? There are answers, but then what are answers, right? There are more so thoughts and ideas more than there are answers, and I think that when we broach certain topics, it is important to say your experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the answer. It means it may be an answer for your experience. So we have some things that I'd like to think about today, where I read them or I felt them and I'm like, dang, I kind of felt absolute. And then I thought more about it and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different ideas out there and maybe we can talk about all of them. But it's only right and it's only appropriate, I'd say, to pay my respect publicly to Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna Bryant, because whether you were a basketball fan or not, we're all human, and this is certainly along with the Altobelli family and the Mauser family. With the Altobelli family lost three of their members, and the Mauser family lost a mother. A tragic, heartbreaking situation that I think that there is no words to sum up that situation. You hear it, you digest it, and you still really can't wrap your head around the idea of passing in that way. So I think this situation has shook up the world. And I think it's started conversations around what it means to live your life, on both sides of the coin, like your family and your personal life. So rest in peace to all those people involved and also all the people who just didn't wake up today or yesterday. I'm certainly grateful for my life in any condition or situation that the world gives me. I still feel grateful for my life, and grateful for the opportunity to live my life. And that's what I think I take away from this situation. It's gratitude.
Yes, I think rest in peace to all those, Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and all those on that helicopter. This is a very very interesting time. Like when you think of someone that you have never met before, but someone that you've literally watched, that you idolized, that you even wore the shoes that they designed, wore the clothes that had their emblem on it. Like we're not talking about just the tragedy of anybody that dies. It's a tragedy, especially in this instance, but we can't deny the fact that there are just a few people that come around in a lifetime that impact the world in a different way, and they are here for a reason, and then when they leave, it's God's will for them to leave when they leave. And the fact that it's very horrible. Like, everybody was young.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter was 13. I don't know the other children on the helicopter. They were
Yeah,
young as well. They
yeah,
probably around the same age.
Yeah, another one was her teammate. So it was another young person.
That in itself is just, it's just something we can't really even put together. You know what I'm saying? How do you really respond to that? But today we're just going to talk about Kobe Bryant. That's the person that we all know. A lot of us love what he represented. Even down to if you play basketball, like myself and Austin have played at different times in our lives. That's somebody that you may mentally put yourself in the Kobe Bryant mindset, because it increases your competitive edge. So you just get in that thought process, because it's just some people that transcend the world like that. Other athletes, that top performing athletes, everybody recognizes it, and it's not by mistake. And to see somebody that you literally were just talking about less than 24 hours earlier when LeBron James passed his record, we see this man on TV. He's retired, so he's already gotten, but he didn't even get a chance to do his Hall of Fame speech. Like, none of that stuff. Like, so this is something that just happened. To the folklore of scoring 61 or 60 points in your final game as a 37-year-old basketball player against a team trying to make it to the playoffs. You score 60 points. This story, I don't think a lot of people understand maybe like the things that are attached to who this person is. But a lot of people do. And the ones that maybe don't understand it, they still feel it, So down to losing Nipsey Hussle last year. Now here we are, less than a year later. And it's just sad experience.
It is. It brought me to a place where I think people think about like their individual lives, and like their families and stuff like that. But then also that we do live a collective life. Like, you got your life and what you mean to your family. And most of the world hadn't had the chance to meet Kobe Bryant. So you don't know him. But when he passed away in that situation, I know for at least me and other people, it felt like you knew of him because you were living you were living your life with him being in it in some way. His name, his basketball game, maybe, people who know him from popular culture. He was someone who was largely a part of our childhoods, our older years, especially if you're a sports fan. The Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan comparisons, or Kobe Bryant being the best player in the NBA, that was so strong for so long in your life. You felt like, at least him as a person, having never met him, you felt like you knew him. And it isn't until maybe something like this happens that you realize how human beings are connected, and how you can never meet somebody a day in their life, yet you feel, at least on an emotional level and maybe even a spiritual level, some type of connection to the person. So then to hear something tragic, instant and tragic happen is very jarring. And I know that for me, I did shed some tears, and I haven't cried in a long time. This is crazy because I don't consider myself necessarily like somebody who doesn't cry, but I just haven't cried in a long time. And I don't remember the last time. Actually, I do remember, but it was a situation where when I thought about his life and his daughter and that situation and those families in that in that helicopter, in that moment, having to let go of their lives, that was very emotional for me. I was like, whoa, the idea of having to let go of your life and not.
It's emotional. In
the second, and not with your daughter with you.
Well,
is jarring.
Somebody brought something up to me about, and this is not to get into too deep into this, but him and either any parent on that flight having their child on that flight and their last moments having to basically comfort their child on the flight, knowing that like, this might be it. Like that's tough to think about. Like that was what basically is probably what was going on. You know what I mean? Like you have your daughter on this flight. You have to console your daughter. These are the last moments, and you know, it's a crazy situation.
Worst news I've heard in a long time. I put it like that in terms of the things that we take in popular news. I don't think there's any worse news that a person can receive than having to deal with the fact of a lost child and a lost partner. So my thoughts and prayers and love go out to all the families that are affected. And because I think that also once you say those things, you also have to think about life too. You also have to think about, like I said, the positive things and the gratitude that you have for your life and for others. And maybe it's an inspirational moment for you even to, I was hearing people talk about maybe family relationships that they, want to mend, or personal friendships that they want to get back on the right track. Because at the end of the day, man, all that little stuff is little in moments like that where you have to put it on a scale and say, man, that's nothing. These feelings, this situation is nothing when it compares to living or dying.
Yeah. It's nothing, and
it makes everything seem trivial almost.
Yeah, but I think a big thing to take away is also like, yes, you shouldn't be holding on to things that are trivial, but you also need to just do what you need to do, what you've been called to do. And if you don't know what you've been called to do, figure it out. And because you don't know how much time you got to impact the world. Like you said, most people have not met Kobe Bryant in real life in person, but you didn't need to. His impact, it transcended, so you didn't have to, right? And it's not to say that everybody in the world is supposed to be that, but who you impact is what your legacy will be. It's not about how much money you can acquire, or how even how many rings you can acquire as a basketball player. People care about who you actually touched. What did you actually do? And what he did on the court somehow touched people off the court. He did other things outside of it, but his work ethic and the way that he carried himself as he grew old, because we watched him grow up. I mean, for me, when he went to NBA, I was probably 7th grade or something like that.
96, yep.
Yeah, so maybe 7th grade, but basically, as I'm growing up, I'm watching him grow up, and you just see this young dude growing up, hooping, thinking oh, that's me, I might be able to be,
Kobe. Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
But he was just different.
That's what LeBron said about, LeBron said he felt that way.
Dude was different though. We looking at somebody that was not the same as everybody else.
No.
So we look at basketball players. This dude was just different. And I think about, I do want to kind of get into some of the memories that I can think of just coming up. We wore Adidas in high school, but I did play JV at first, and I definitely wore Kobe's because we could wear Kobe's. When I eventually I had to wear what everybody else wore, but I was wearing Kobe's in high school. When I only wore those shoes to play ball in too. You know what I'm saying? So I think I still got the Crazy 8s, the first ones, at the crib right now. So going from Nintendo 64, the basketball, I forgot what it was called. He had a basketball game for Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I used to play that every day. You know what I'm saying? Wearing the little jerseys. My first probably real jersey with the sewn on numbers was the Minneapolis Lakers.
Oh jersey, yeah. I remember.
Blue joint,
yeah,
but the Kobe joint. You know what I'm saying? So, and if y'all don't know who the Minneapolis, that's a throwback. because I bought that and I got some Jordans with it from the PX on base. They had the sevens.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the white sevens with the Carolina blue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but anyway.
No, I think it's appropriate to talk about memories and also to reflect. Like I feel like I'm an inner sociologist and psychologist, so I really like to get into why we, like who has an impact on society and why. And I think for Kobe, it was a little bit more than just he was really good. I think that he also represented, like you said, the high school thing I think was huge because he did something that not a lot of people did, and that really put him on the map. It wasn't like he was just a regular college kid coming out. He was a high school kid. But I think that the black thing and the Italian growing up overseas, I think that sparked people's interest a lot. I think the controversy around Shaq and Kobe, that sparked people's interest a lot because what happened at that point was, pre that, in terms of him with Shaq for non-basketball players, people loved Kobe when he was with Shaq. Like the Shaq and Kobe duo thing was, people loved the Lakers or really, really loved that. It wasn't until Shaq left that people started to essentially pick sides, right? Mm-hmm. And you had this large cross-section of people who were still Shaq fans, and Shaq ended up winning a championship, I think, the next year. And then you had, or either it was a year or two with Miami, and then the Lakers went down, right? Mm-hmm. So the Lakers had not a long down period. They had about a 4-year down period where they were making the playoffs as a 7-day seed, but they were getting beat, and they weren't particularly good. But people really started to gravitate toward Kobe. That was, this is the 81. This is the 81 point Kobe time, right?
81
so
olives.
this is when the cult, I would say, fan base of Kobe really grew. Like you had people who were fans the whole time, but when people started picking sides and there was this idea of, Kobe will never win a championship again. That was a large sports conversation. Like, he can't do it without Shaq. He can't do it without Shaq. Shaq did it the first year without Kobe, even though he had Dwayne Wade, but Kobe didn't do it. And then when Kobe did it, because remember, a lot of people forget, he lost the first time. They went to the finals 3 years in a row. If it wasn't 3, it was 2. They skipped one, and they skipped one.
They lost.
But they lost Boston.
Karl Malone and them on there.
No, that was after. I'm talking about post-Shaq.
Oh, okay.
So he went to the finals 3 times after Shaq, right? So he lost to the Celtics in 2008. They came right back, beat, was it Orlando? I think maybe it was Orlando in 2009. Came right back, beat the Celtics again in 2010, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was basically what kind of split the Celtics up too. They lost. A lot of people say LeBron, but that last one they lost, they started losing players. Mm-hmm. So Kobe did all this post Shaq. So he had this, this 8-24 career that a lot of people say like, okay, when he was 8, he was with Shaq. And 24, he wasn't with Shaq. He made it to 3 finals, won 2 championships, won an MVP, did all these things. So he kind of like, in his 20 years, he had like 2 careers, in terms of the way that people identified him. And I think that is pretty remarkable as an athlete to play 20 years like that.
He came in a different era.
20
right?
damn years. That's a lot.
So he came in on the tail end. Well, Jordan was still hooping. Jordan still won.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jordan was still
won 2 championships. Yeah, he definitely did.
So he was a middle child, essentially. He was the middle child of the LeBron and the Jordan era. So he's like the J. Cole middle child. That's where I got that from.
Yeah, you're right. Like, about 7 years before Bron. Yeah,
so
he was in the league 7 years before Bron.
But he was young. So it's 7 years before Bron, but he was like
still very like 25.
Young,
yeah,
you know what I'm
25.
saying?
Yeah,
because he came in out of high school.
Yeah,
barely 17. So like basically
him and T-Mac.
Yep. So basically, you got a guy who had to come behind it. Eddie Jones. So Eddie Jones eventually got traded.
He did.
But it's not like when we think of LeBron,
Pretty
LeBron came in right away,
Yeah,
and had this. He had the spot.
Right.
That's not what happened with Kobe. Had to fight for his position, right?
Yeah.
So, and he got it.
He did.
And he had to fight on a team where there was already stars on that team. There was already guys on there,
Man.
and you got the young guy, and
Very good team.
So he was special though. Like he didn't just get it handed. Not to say LeBron got anything handed to him either, but
there wasn't an expectancy for him to do
he was a
anything too much. He had to
13th
build
round.
it.
He was a 13th pick in the draft.
Yeah, he had to build it.
So knowing that you got a guy, Allen Iverson was number 1 pick.
He was
that year. So like Kobe Bryant was a 13th pick in the draft, won 5 championships. Like think about this. That was not the expectation. We knew he was going to be great, but not this great.
Because just to give you an idea, because a lot of people consider that to be the best draft of all time. I do too. Number, just in order, right? Because I love this because we don't often get a chance to go down basketball. So all the listeners in here, you got to listen to basketball knowledge for a bit. Just in order, that draft alone: Allen Iverson, number 1. Marcus Camby, number 2. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, number 3.
Yep.
Stephon Marbury, number 4. Ray Allen, number 5. Antoine Walker, number 6.
That's crazy.
Right? So you're just looking at the top 6.
Keep going.
You got Lorenzen Wright, Kerry Kittle. Lorenzen Wright, rest in peace also. He passed tragically, but was a very good basketball player. Kerry Kittle's very good basketball player.
High socks.
He made a couple All-Star games. Eric Dampier, Vitaly Potapenko, I remember he played for the Cavs. Kobe at 13. Peja Stojakovic was in that draft at 14, All-Star. Steve Nash was in that draft, 15. Jermaine O'Neal was in that draft, 17. So you literally have, Zydrunas Ilgauskas was in it too. You literally have, in this first round, Derek Fisher was in the draft. This is by far the most productive NBA draft class.
So,
either this or 03, which is the one that LeBron was in. The most productive draft class over their careers.
And
without
it
a
matters.
doubt.
It matters. What do you do? You come in with a group.
You got 6 Hall of Famers in here.
Are you going to cave in?
Yeah.
Or are you going to transcend? And we know out of this draft who the number 1 guy is. I mean, a lot of us love Allen Iverson, of course, but Kobe Bryant has 5. It's not even like a comparison.
Not what
if we're going to look at overall, but overall career wise too. He just did a lot.
I'll say that
take away anything from
Iverson.
Else.
Yeah, I was gonna say
from Iverson
because they had different styles,
but they played. But he played longer.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot of different factors in it. But the point is, he came in at a different time, and his mentality came from a different era, and a lot of people don't get that mentality now. A lot of these players today try it, but they don't really have it. They want to be the cutthroat player.
Yeah, you can.
When I think of a James Harden, you would want James Harden to be that cutthroat player, but he ain't that. He's just good.
Yeah,
and nobody really had. Not even Westbrook has it. Like Westbrook
no, hell
great,
no.
But a lot of these players, they don't have it. He was just like a machine out there.
To me, I look at Kobe, and we talk about the cutthroat and the mentality, but as I was watching his documentary last night, Kobe Doing Work, Kobe was a guy who just really knew basketball. He took his time to really try to understand the game, or so it appeared. Now, I'm not saying that other guys don't know the game. I'm not saying that he's any more or less than other guys. But it's rare that you have a guy of his talent level that is also equally interested in knowing the nuts and bolts of the game. Like you can talk to a lot of people like myself who I know a shitload about basketball, but guess what? I'm nowhere near professional level. Because if you give me the talent, I might not feel like I need to know all that because I'm already moving and grooving. I do spend those time, but I'm a bum. I'm a couch guy. Kobe Bryant was a superstar who also did it. So Guys like him and Michael Jordan, they're up there when it comes to the competition level because they took the time to not only be great, when it came to their actual game, but these dudes knew it inside out. LeBron James, he knew it inside out. Like, I ain't hating on Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson, wonderful player. Allen Iverson didn't know it inside out. Allen Iverson knew the game. I'm not taking that away from him, and I think that he was a smart player. A lot of people see his exterior and like, oh, he ain't. No, he knows basketball.
Yeah,
Kobe Bryant perfected parts of the game.
Yeah, I would say, not to just hang on that piece, but if we were to compare the competitive nature of the two, they would be par.
For sure.
Par with each other.
For sure.
In terms of being an athlete and being competitive,
for sure, they going at it.
But like, it's just they approach the game differently. You know what I'm saying? So, but I would say
Kobe Bryant was a guy that was storied as like, a practice. Like he'd be playing 100. He'd be going full speed in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's going full speed in practice. He's getting to the gym 4 hours before the game just to get specific work done on the elbow. He just was that type of person, right? In terms of basketball. You got to give him. You got to give that up.
So Jalen Rose, he brought up something that was great because I love the 81 Olives commercial. Well, it was a skit. It was a skit for like a pilot Jalen Rose was putting together.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hey Jalen.
Hey Jalen.
Hey Jalen.
So if you haven't seen it, look up the 81 Olives skit. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the story behind that is, Kobe Bryant scored 81 points against the Raptors when Jalen Rose was on the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Rose obviously didn't guard him the entire game.
Right.
But he guarded him a good amount of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Jalen Rose was like his favorite player in college.
Yeah, I think he did say that. Uh-huh.
And there's like recorded evidence. So yeah, that makes it even more significant.
And Jalen Rose was a hell of a college player.
Yeah,
just to be fair here.
So
got
basically,
busy.
This dude said Kobe Bryant scored 81 points on us and did not talk trash the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He did not. If you watch this game, he said there's no highlights.
Mm-hmm.
There's no highlight plays in the game. There's no trash talk. He literally came in and like surgically hooked him that. Like, think about this: 81 points in one basketball game, and he didn't even played a whole game. No trash talking. Like, I don't have to trash talk. I'm focused. That's a different beast than the same animal.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial?
Yeah. Well,
You're welcome.
No, you're right. When you think about Kobe Bryant in terms of like put yourself, I think the best thing you can do in terms of the competition level, put yourself in a mindset whether you are at work or whether you're an athlete or whatever it is that you do, right? Put yourself in a mindset where you are doing that, but you're competing against someone. What is it that we got our producer here? What is it that you love? What's something you love to do? Anything. It could be bizarre. It could be anything. Just anything. Something you love.
Listening to the Intellectucool show.
other than that, just something you love. Music, right? Perfect. So you love music. So let's say you played or you were a musician. So Kobe Bryant would be the equivalent of someone who literally all day long plays music. Is a fantastic musician. Put him on the level of a Michael Jackson or on the level of whatever insert superstar here that we know as a musician. That we can't really name too many people better than him, right? And imagine he's just doing that all day. He's reading, he's watching everything. He's literally listening to every chord of every instrument. He's up early playing the instrument. He's there late at night. He's beating other musicians to sound check. He's doing things that other musicians who are good aren't doing, right? And he don't have to because he's Michael Jackson, but he just is wired that way. just to do
he's
that.
repeating. He's playing the same pieces over and over and over and over just cause I'm gonna just keep playing it because you're gonna tell it's like the nuances in the way because he's just an expert at playing this thing over and over and over. This part here I'm gonna play over and over and over and over, and like that's rare even for musicians because there are musicians that are like that. I've seen them, and they may not even be to some people the best singer in the world, but they're great singers. But like they are in the studio, they're just different types of people. You know what I mean? And
is recognized, it essentially ends up being recognized by other greats as this is somebody who is, at the top of this game. Whatever we're doing, whether it's music, sport, they're at the top, and they're going to be known for that forever. So I got to respect them for that. Man.
And before we move to our other topics, this is something we were talking about yesterday. His final game, is something of like comic books. It's like not even real.
It's ridiculous
to watch this and to watch the way it went down. It's on YouTube. If you watch this, like it's not like it was a celebratory. Oh, we gotta let Kobe get his points. Like he was out here toasting these dudes.
Yeah, and I want to. I'm glad you said that because
60 points.
When we was watching it yesterday, it brought me back to a place where somebody, I don't think who knows basketball. They're like, oh, he scored 60 in the last game. In his last game, they probably let him get 60. No. No.
They were trying to make the playoffs.
They were double teaming him.
Like they were trying to make the playoffs. He's shooting one leg fadeaway from the 3-pointer. Like
it wasn't no let me get. He went out and got 60. And he got hot and just never cooled off. Shooting. And didn't in his last game. Think about let's go back to that music, right?
Wait, before you do that.
Yeah.
He had a torn Achilles.
Yeah, and a broken leg in his last couple years.
In the last couple years.
Yep.
He was 37 years old. He had just recovered from a torn Achilles and a broken
leg.
And he was like, it's like, I'm going to be honest. And you've probably been this way too. You ever been in a situation like a pickup game or you're in a league and people start talking trash or like you had a bad game and you like, you know what? I'm about to go off today.
Yeah.
It's like, but imagine him doing that. It was like, and if I do it, it's like, I feel good, but like it ain't gonna have the same result.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine Kobe Bryant doing it. That's what happened. He scored 60 points.
Yeah.
They were losing.
That's a very important point.
Back from a deficit against a team trying to make the playoffs.
It's a very important point.
And they was mad. If you look at their faces,
bro, it was like hot. They wasn't trying to lose. You got to think. Everybody in the world was watching that game. That was Kobe's last game. Everybody was watching it. It wasn't like Jay-Z was courtside. All these people, all these stars were courtside to watch this game. So
it was unbelievable.
He literally delivered. In a Shaq, everybody, all his
Snoop.
all his former teammates, all these people were there to watch the last game, thinking it was probably just going to be like a farewell game, and he got 60.
It was different.
And he got 60. So I got to be honest about just what productivity or the idea of what productivity looks like. To me, Kobe's life or his career really showed that like talent is important. I ain't going to front like it's not. Having being inclined to do something is good. But Michael Jordan showed that ain't enough. Like when you get to that point, they showed that they weren't satisfied. They actually wanted to figure out how they could be the entire best, and I think that psychologically, I think of two things for somebody to do that, because the natural human reaction to being great at something is I got this, right? Like I got it. I'm beating everybody. I got it. So either one, you don't believe that you're that good, right? Because you can't necessarily believe that you're that good if you feel like you're going to be doing all these things. Or either B, you're so good at it that your idea of good is just that much greater than everybody else's, right? So like people set standards based on what other people have done. Some people set standards based on what nobody else knows. I think Kobe Bryant is one of those people. He had a standard that nobody else knew. They didn't. Everybody else was going off somebody else. He was going off of his own. And I think that that's special. You know, I think that's a special mindset to have because so many of us are chasing everybody else's idea of something. And he was just like, I got my own. And it's actually higher than yours. You want me to be Jordan. Kobe Bryant wanted to be better than Jordan.
That was the
Who says that? Whoever says that? First off, most people don't
want to be them. They want to be them.
Most people don't even think that they're good enough to be in the NBA, let alone Michael Jordan, let alone better than Michael Jordan. Better?
You know, it's the cop out. The cop out for
better.
The cop out for a lot of these players that we all love, that I love, like, is that they're just trying to be their own thing.
I'm my own player.
But it's different. Like, it's one thing when it's like, you want to be better than Jordan, but like you don't want to be the next. It was something John Sally was talking about. He was like, he didn't want to be the next Jordan. He wanted to be better than Jordan. Like, he would say, nah, I want to be better than Jordan. I'm not trying to be the next Jordan. That's just when you know that this guy is literally the pinnacle of basketball, and your goal is to be better than this person. And not to say, well, who knows what that really means.
Yeah.
It's just a different mentality that you are saying it. Like, you're not backing away or shying away from that statement. You're saying it. This is what I think because I think I can do it.
And in order, like, on a competitive
pressure,
man,
that's pressure.
You want it all. You're right. Like, on a competitive level, that is, to me, that is the ultimate, because when you have the skills and the attributes to do it, you might feel like, but to kind of be confrontational, to be like, nah, I don't want to. I'm not cool with just being up here, bro. I'm about to try to bust your ass. That's a different type of human. That's a different type of
anybody.
That's a different type of person.
That's pressure. You know how many players?
That's a person that people don't like, to be real.
You know how when we want to bring LeBron into this,
most people wouldn't like that.
You know how many players when they talk about people don't want to play with LeBron? You know, Kevin Durant telling people don't want to play with LeBron.
Oh, because of the pressure. Yeah.
People want to play with LeBron, but there are some great players that don't want to play with him because of the pressure.
Yeah.
Because if you look at some guys that are like good, serviceable NBA players that had ongoing good careers and playing good now, sometimes they go play with a guy like that, or a guy like Kobe, or a guy or wherever else, and they can't meet the challenge.
Can't cut it. Yeah.
They literally, it's not like the game has even really changed for them. They just, when they get the time to dribble the ball and make a move and pull up, their shot percentage is down. It ain't because they don't get their shots.
Everybody's
it's because
watching now.
It's because everybody's watching.
You got to
and
make
now
it.
you got to do. Now it matters.
Yeah.
Now these triple doubles or this 20 for 10 you was getting on this bum team in the middle of nowhere. Now that shit don't matter because can you do it with the best of the best? When we talk about the big three, I hate when we talk about big threes. When I realize that there are teams that do have a big three, but a lot of times they came up together. So, or they were already proven in some form or fashion. Where like some of these other teams, it's always one guy that ain't really a big three.
Okay.
Like, come on, is Kevin Love really a big three?
No.
But that's an argument that people would make. But
it's ridiculous.
not to go too.
I mean, not to hate on Kevin Love, but he's not.
It's just I'm talking about the pressure. So the Kobe mentality, the Mamba mentality, it ain't no pressure.
No, it's not. It's not.
They bring in the pressure. They putting the pressure on you.
And that's another. I actually want to dig in on that. So, in my opinion, Kobe Bryant was the most that I've seen. I mean, I watched Michael Jordan too. Can't really. To me, they're the same when it comes to making big shots. I have not. I've seen Kobe Bryant make shots that I was like, wow. Wow. Like, wow. Because I think it's important to note the first 3 championships for Kobe, I ain't going to say it was an easy ride. It wasn't an easy ride. But they didn't have hard series against the Pacers. They didn't have a hard series against the Nets. And they didn't have a hard series against, who was their last one? It was the Pacers, Nets, Sixers. So those first three, the three championships they won, I think it was 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. So they didn't even go 6-7, right? But I've seen Kobe Bryant in the regular season and playoffs. Like, I've seen him make shots that I'm just like, damn. I don't think nobody else in the NBA except him, living or dead, aside from Michael Jordan, really can make those shots. Like, I'm just being real. To me, he was a tough. He was the one player who made tough shots that I've never seen. I'm talking about both hands in your face, on top of you, can't see, fading back, making shots.
On purpose.
Like, Michael Jordan was an amazing, but I didn't see Michael Jordan making. To me, Kobe Bryant was the toughest shot maker of all time. He made shots that I've never seen anybody else make, and he did it like it was a regular shot. Mm-hmm. He made hard, very difficult shots with people draped over you in your face, doing everything.
He wanted that shot, though. He wanted to take that shot.
Whether it was clutch time or whether it was regular time, not a big deal. So that's not something that NBA players can do. I'm just be real. It's just so I honor his career, man.
This is superhero
basketball for sure.
You know, number one Avenger.
Absolutely.
You know, that's rest in peace, man.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace. And I definitely, got a chance to check out his Dear Basketball. If you get a chance to do that, check that out. I think it's a great 4 or 5 minute kind of window into how he felt about basketball, which I think is insightful for people who maybe wants to know, a little bit about how people tick. I think he summed that up pretty good. So, yeah. But I want to transition to you, man, because I was in the car chilling with a special young lady, and you text me.
Tenderoni.
No, I ain't gonna say tenderoni. I say tenderoni, yeah, tenderoni, right? And you text me about an interaction you had at a bar.
Yeah.
So, you text me, it was a blind text, meaning I didn't really have a whole lot of context around it. It was just like, oh, this happened. And when I got the story from you, I was like, that's wild. I actually think that's wild. I couldn't really believe that it happened like that. I was trying to put myself like maybe he's, exaggerating or maybe he missed a part of the story. When you told me, I'm like, that's wild. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is an average situation for most people.
It's not.
Socially.
It was not an average situation.
It's silly. It's silly, and it's silly, funny, and kind of frustrating and disappointing at the same time.
You know why it was frustrating? Because you can't really respond, and I'm going to get into what actually happened. Sometimes you can't respond with full energy in certain environments like you want to. Right. That don't mean you can't respond. But I know I like to talk shit.
Yeah, you can't put your whole weight on it.
And I want to talk shit sometimes in certain scenarios where, I can't do that right now. I could just say a little bit because, now I don't want to take the attention off of why I'm actually here. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I texted this because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. So I was like, let me text this dude, because I don't want to forget the details.
Yeah.
So hopefully I remember as I say it now. I'm going to say the name of the restaurant.
Sure, why not?
I was at Joe's.
Joe's.
It's a bar in D.C. on 15th Street.
Okay.
It's it used to be a bank, I guess, like an old bank. So it was nice. It's nice. It was happy hour. Got there at 4 or something.
All right. Happy hour vibe.
It's packed.
It's jumping.
I'm standing. I was there with the young lady.
All right.
She's standing.
Okay, so standing room only.
I was like, you want to leave? Mm-hmm. No, I'm good. She got heels on. That's the voice. Yeah, I'm good.
Right. Knowing your feet hurt, but no, I'm good. Right.
So we're standing for a while.
Okay.
There's people sitting, and we're just standing. We're doing, we're right at the bar, though.
You're at the bar.
It's one of those bars that circle around, like the big bars. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's some people there. They're sitting down on both sides. once there was a group that came in of some older white people.
Okay.
They were not all old.
Can I ask you a quick question about the scene? Would you categorize this this bar as like it was a diverse scene in terms of race?
Or it's diverse
in
terms of race. I mean, obviously it's not diverse, I would think, in terms of like class.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
So it may be like middle class, upper
by the
upper
White
class.
House. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
By the White House after work, but it is a diverse group of people in there.
In terms of the looks of people. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So anyway, somebody gave up their seat to the people, the white people. It was three black women sitting down. And I guess they asked for the seat for one seat because one left early.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah.
Okay, so three black women sitting down, a group of white people standing up, but one of their people from the black people, their party left, so they had an open chair, so they gave up a chair.
Yeah, so there's two chairs.
Okay. 2 chairs, they gave one up.
Before they get ready to leave, they see, because we were there for a while, but like there was like 2 regular, I don't want to say regular, but there was like 2 older people. They weren't old.
Okay, maybe 50s?
Old, like 60.
60, okay.
So like, who knows?
All right.
But like, and then there was like some people that were still working age. They were younger.
All right.
So one of the girls, the black girl, asked the person that I was with if she wanted her seat.
Okay.
She was like, sure. She was like,
I'm getting up
right here. Because
okay.
she saw us there. We were there for like a long time before all these other people was there. But it was just, anyway. So as she gets up,
so she had the sister telepathy thing going. Like, go ahead, like I see you standing, sis. I see you got your heels on. Like there's a seat here. Like go ahead and
As she gets up, she sits down. I'm still standing. I'm good. I'm not trying to sit down. It wasn't even my plans to sit because there was another seat. I didn't even ask for it because I was not trying to sit down.
Sure.
So she's sitting down, I'm standing up. There are around, so we're at the corner, kind of. You go around that corner. If you imagine a table, say I'm at this corner of the table, they're at the other corner of the table.
Okay.
There's 2 white women, they're probably in their 30s.
Okay.
One of them was studded belt on, shirt, blonde hair. They,
White House action.
Drunk.
Oh,
they wasn't drunk. They wasn't drunk. So I didn't really know, but she had a couple. You could tell she had a couple.
Feeling good.
She was feeling good. So they're both sitting down. I'm not even paying any attention to them. Right?
Okay.
They got there after we got there because I remember when one was already there and then she came in later.
Okay.
So she wasn't even there.
Not even there.
But she
okay. Now it's coming to me.
Gets up from her seat.
The one with the studded belt.
Yeah, I'm not even paying attention, so I don't see her walk over. I just hear her voice. It's like, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Can you give what did I say? She said,
elders.
Can you give the seat up? And it was like, for who? They were waiting on it.
And
we said, for who? She said, the elders. And I was like, what? I said, she's okay. And she comes to me, the one standing, the man. The man is standing, the woman sitting. The white woman talks to me and tell this black woman.
Tells you to tell her.
Tell this black woman to stand
to get up.
And I'm like, what? I was like, nah, we all right. You'll be all right. What elders? And I was like, this is happy hour. They should go get a table. There's a hostess booth in the front if you want to sit down. We at a bar. That's not how this works. And then she just said a couple little slick things.
Did you catch any of what she said? Okay.
I didn't catch it. But they were close enough when she sat down, I could still hear it because they were close. But it was just like the catty corner of the bar. And she was like, they didn't look directly, but somebody kind of looked.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they said. And he's like, good for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like
they recognize,
like something.
So hold on. So the people that the lady came over and tried to advocate on behalf of actually was looking at her like, what are you talking about? Like,
they didn't say anything. She was not with them.
She wasn't even with them.
But this is the kicker. I did not notice any of this. I didn't even know that this woman had a seat until she went back and sat down.
And
so you asked me to ask this black woman to get up from her seat, and then you go sit.
And then you go sit in your seat,
thinking ass down in his seat with your studded belt. Like, come on, man.
Bro, on so many levels.
And I'm gonna be honest.
Man.
I had so much. I can say, and not about like being loud. I was just gonna go in like on some comic view shit.
Yeah.
But I knew I couldn't do it because the person I was there with, she was like, nah, it's over. Because she had already like turned her back on this, like it's kind of when she started on some disrespectful shit too. Because it was like. Because she was walking away, but it was like, and I was like, it's okay. I just really want to go in on this person right now because like I can, and like, but I won't because it's not even appropriate. It's not that big of a deal. I don't even want to ruin my, as they sit down in these chairs over here and have their little like whatever little one-on-one conversation they was having with each other. But that's the world that we live. Because if you can imagine. If I would have walked over to them after and would have been like, "You just came and asked me for my seat,"
I would have definitely.
Can you get up from your seat and give these elders?
I would have definitely.
Because you just called these people here elders. I don't know if you're related to them. Can you give them your seat? They probably would have called the police on me.
Oh, yeah, they probably would have.
Think about this.
Or you got some security.
But this is the reality that we live in. Mm-hmm. Is these are the things that I had to think about at times. I'm like, you know what? It ain't even really that serious. Because I don't care that much,
man.
But like, if I could have went in on her clothes, I was gonna go in. Like, I already had jokes already.
I'm already shaking because like, I would have.
That's what my response is. But I know this, but I can't do this right now. I gotta just.
Man, let me tell you how you deserve an award for respect, and you deserve an award for restraint, because in those situations, what she doesn't know is that could have been real dicey for her.
Oh, yeah.
Of a situation, right? And dicey for all the right reasons. Now, I do think that we as a society tend to overreact to some things. That would have not been an overreaction if you would have cussed her the hell out. Like, now I'm not even talking about being joke. I'm talking about I know.
Nobody.
That
so
she would have said
to realize
that's true.
She automatically. Because I don't remember everything she said as she was leaving, because she saw that she wasn't going to get up. So the thing is, they played victim. They played the victim card from jump. Mm-hmm. I could sense the victim card because you're saying the elders. We saw them there the whole time. There's two younger black women sitting here, and there's y'all two younger white women sitting here, or whatever age they were. Nobody got up. Are we supposed to get up from a crowded bar? It's not. You gotta think it's over 100 people in this place because it's not a small place. So you're just supposed to get up when somebody walks in when you can get a table.
What that lady said, and I don't care. Victim. I don't care what nobody says.
Stop playing the victim.
I'm gonna just say I'm gonna shoot it straight. What that lady said was, y'all black people look comfortable. You look a little too comfortable. You need to get up because this older white person is looking uncomfortable, and I'm prioritizing their comfort over yours. I don't know them, and I don't know you. I don't even know them, right? I don't even know the white folks I don't even know if they want to sit down. I don't even know. I didn't ask them. I didn't talk to them about it. I just saw them standing, saw you sitting, and said, "No, that dynamic needs to change." And how you do that?
And they didn't even get up. That's the kicker. That's how ignorant this is. When imagine if she would have got up and then they would have sat their asses back down. Man. We got and we were here before you. And after that, I'm like, look, man, if you just go back over there, like. Because like it's nothing you can really say because you're playing the victim card now. You were here before.
What do that got to do? Right,
all of y'all.
And what do that got to do?
You don't even. You're just saying shit now to be the victim.
And what do exactly? And what do you being there before what does them being there before you have to do with the fact that
that's crazy. I could have told them
they lied.
I could have told them who was actually sitting there when we got here because there was other people sitting in those seats.
My my thing is, if you were so concerned about the elders' feet, you would have got your ass up. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you had a seat. So if you cared enough about the situation, when it comes to them standing up and you had some seats, you would have got your dumb ass up, you know, but you decided to go mess with somebody else that you didn't know on behalf of people you don't know.
She was feeling froggy.
Woo!
But you know what's wild? And it's less me, but what if the person that was there with me would have flipped the script? And then she would have been an angry black woman.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I would have had to been angry.
That it ain't like she ain't.
I would have recorded. I would have recorded myself.
She basically looked at her and like rolled her eyes, and then like you know how you say "pardon my back" without saying like she basically was like "pardon my back" like because it was like it was like what like I was like this is wild.
Man, listen, I would have. We gonna go after this, but. When I think about that situation and when you detailed it to me, I'm like, damn, son, like that's wild. I would have had to check her drink and see what she was drinking because that's wild that she came up to you, not knowing you, not knowing the people not knowing the people she advocated for, and told you to get up out of your seat. No, told you to tell somebody else to get up out of their seat.
We just had the Women's March. So we just had the Women's March. You gonna tell a man to tell a woman to get up out of her seat when her baby toe probably hurting because she's standing up in heels, like.
And then you went back and sat your ass down.
Stinking. Look.
Sat your
so at the end of the day, the narrative here is about those who will play the victim.
That's real though.
When they see you with something that they don't think you should have. So let's play the victim to get them to because you deserve.
Well, first she tried to guilt you into having it. She tried to make you feel guilty for having it. Like, like you have it. So she tried to make you feel guilty for having it. And then she also had it yet refused to give up hers. Oh my God. That's a lot of symbolism right there.
That's wild, man.
That's a lot of symbolism right there, bro.
Elder, it is.
That's too much symbolism to take. Man, that's a lot to unpack.
Out here. Look, this is the world.
I'm gonna keep mine, but you need to give up yours.
Think about so. I just want y'all to really, really take that in as something you have to watch out for because that was like obvious, but there's other scenarios that play out the exact same way that are not as obvious, where somebody will make you feel like you have to be the bigger person, and but in reality, they're not giving up shit.
Absolutely.
But the person, they want you to give up something that nobody even really want, but you want it. Mm-hmm. But they'll be like, well, they don't want it, but they can use it, so we're going to convince them to give that shit up. You know what I'm saying? And that plays out in so many ways. Yeah. And look, man, I'm not really that nice. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm nice.
No, you're not that nice.
But I ain't that nice.
No, you're not that nice.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just... I can control my responses pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because like I'm not that nice. I don't care. Like, look, lady,
lady.
You don't realize I already don't want you in my space in the first place.
Did you have on a suit and tie?
Yeah.
Because I definitely would have loosened that motherfucker.
I was suited and booted.
Go ahead, loosen this shit.
I was suited and booted. And then you walk over there and look, something. Good for you. Man. Like, I was like, I know what this is.
I'm gonna tell you what she said. She probably looked around the bar. She said, she had the little radar. Black man in a suit.
Oh, good for you.
Go to get him. Because at that point, I don't see how you can zero in on one person, because she had to have looked around the bar, right? It probably was, for lack of a better term, I don't know, but it probably was a lot of other white people sitting down at the bar.
There's plenty. It was two older women beside
right
us.
Next to you, right? So there were probably there's probably other white people at the bar looking young.
Plenty.
Looking young.
Plenty.
And she said, not gonna do this, not gonna do that. The black man in this. And not only am I not going to address the person who has a seat, she don't even know your affiliation to her. So how you could have been there as a person, like it could have been a blind date. It could have been someone you just met that day. It could have been a haphazard interaction at the bar. All she knew was y'all was standing next to each other or whatever, sitting next to each other. And she decided not to go to the person who was sitting down, but to come to you to tell that person something. That's wild, man.
I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't about me. It was about her.
I know.
It was about the black woman that was in the seat.
Yeah, that was sitting down.
That was the issue.
She didn't want that smoke.
That was the issue.
Exactly.
No. This is the issue. I'm gonna give you the real issue.
She didn't want that smoke.
This is the reality.
She didn't want that.
I just made this up.
She didn't want that.
No, she didn't want her with that seat, and she also didn't want her with that man.
Hey,
Look, let's keep it a buck.
Well, yeah.
Let's keep it a buck.
I can't take that off.
Let's keep it a buck. You see this black woman, and you don't know the affiliation, but you see the laughing, the jokes, the wine.
She was looking like she was having too
You over there with your little friend. You over there with your friends. You stinking. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they having too. I bet you. I bet you he will bend to me. I bet you he will bend to me. He'll make her get up. Look.
I think
and
you
I
onto
was like,
something
what?
there, brother.
Look, you don't know my history, man.
No, I think you onto something there. No, I think you onto something there.
No, I had a whole conversation about this after I left with. I was like, that's the reality. But
the black man will bend to me, to the white.
But you have to realize
that's a point.
That is not my history. So you are right. There are some men that will do that, and then you came across the opposite person
that have done that.
And you came across the opposite, and you didn't know that that's what happened. You literally came across a person that was going to have the exact opposite reaction of that type of black dude, and you did not know this, and it could have ended up with a very comic viewish dialogue, but it didn't, because you are not what I came here for.
Man, that alone, like when you, she was bold on a couple different levels. And you're right, like I didn't even think about that dynamic at first. Like, oh, the happy black woman sitting with the black guy. I'm gonna come over there, assert myself into their interaction, and actually make a suggestion that they become less comfortable. Like I'm gonna, and I'm not even gonna think about it critically enough to at least mull over the fact that they may not be together, that he may not know her, that I'm coming to the wrong person. I'm just going to assert myself into a situation that literally doesn't have anything to do with me. And I actually have the same thing they have, but I refuse to do anything about my situation.
I'm going to manipulate this situation
because I know I can. Yeah.
In distress.
Yeah. Exactly.
I will be the woman in distress.
Yeah.
And make this man bend to my distress.
Yeah.
And it is not even logical, but he will do it.
That's
because
real.
somebody else will do it. And I'm sure it's
or maybe done it, yeah. But maybe that's why she felt comfortable.
Victor from the Intellectucool Show.
Well, that's interesting, bro.
A history that does not align with what you think. It's the complete opposite of that.
I like it. Whoa is all I can say.
Hey man, so there it is, you know. Take it how you want to take it.
What would you have done, America? What would you have done in that situation? Whether you were the man or the woman in that situation who was politely asked to get up, impolitely asked to get up and become less comfortable.
Pseudo-politely asked.
Right, passive aggressively asked to get up and give your seat up. And it's about to be Black History Month.
And for the elders.
To give your seat
What about my elders?
No, that's real.
You want to talk about
elders?
My elders ain't have a seat at the table for 400 years.
And I sit down and now you want me? No, I'm telling you, that's real, dog. Like, that shit's deep. Like, that's too deep.
God.
That is like the subject of like a episode or something. That's deep. The psychology behind that is deep, because she knew on some level she was wrong, but she decided she was going to do it anyway. Because she had the privilege. There's no way. She chose y'all for a reason. She knew she was wrong. That's why she applied it the way she did, but she decided to do it anyway. I don't give a fuck if she was drinking every drink at the bar, right? That could have turned out really bad for her. And if it would have turned out bad, like you said, there would have been an optics thing, like, oh, the black man and the black woman going off on this little white lady.
There was an assault.
You know,
I'm pressing charges.
A verbal assault.
But he threw an ice cube in my forehead.
I'm at a but there is justifiable outrage, and there is justifiable responses to things that a lot of people like, oh, no, like, you know, if somebody slapped me and you decide to smack them upside the head with a plate, now to some people they'd be like, man, that's ridiculous. To other people it's like, hey, he slapped me and I like plates, so I slapped him too, but it was with a plate. Now some people be like, nah, but it's like, no, when you wrong someone, especially when you didn't have to say a motherfucking thing, when you go out your way, what comes on the other end of that, verbally in this case, why I gotta be classy, right? Why do I have to be someone who is thinking about their whole feelings when they decided not to take in yours?
I just be
the chips might fall where they fall.
In a lot of real life scenarios, I just want to bark at people. Like, I don't even want to work. I don't want to say a word. I just want to bark. Just
that's
like, weird. But loud. Like, I just
want
to bark.
That's weird.
I'm not even
DMX.
joking. Like, I really feel like that. Like, it's the same thing. Like DMX. Yeah. That's an appropriate response in a lot of life scenarios. If somebody says some dumb shit to you and you just bark at them, like, in an intimidating way, why do you have to make up word? Why do I have to parse words with you and make it? I gotta say this clever thing to make it. Oh well, here we are fencing. You know, like, why do I have to do that? Why don't I just bark at you and see what you do next? Oh, he's gross. What's that? Oh,
now that's weird. Now,
it is weird.
If barking, if you were a dog, it wouldn't.
It's definitely weird, but it's not weird if you DMX. And we know what he's doing.
I think it's weird with DMX too.
Hey, man.
But we were kids when that first was happening, so it's like we were, you know, he was an adult, we were kids. But when I listen back to those records, he was literally barking.
It's dark and hell is hot.
Oh man, I want to change topics real quick, and I guess we're talking about race today because there was an article that was extremely engaging. Well, let me pump the brakes. Boop boop. Oh, that's not what brakes sound like.
Boop boop.
That's actually the horn. But
is that a horn?
Let me. So, the article wasn't extremely engaging, but the article was an interesting case study. And black people already know this. White people don't, or white people already know this too, but they use plausible deniability. But it's more about what black people can do when they feel or see or interact with this. So this article was written by a man named Trey Johnson, and it was
Treyway.
It was featured in Slate this week, and the article was called "Heard, Not Seen." Heard but not seen. Okay. So the article essentially starts out with Trey being in New Orleans and Trey going to a restaurant that was serving soul food in New Orleans, which is a historically black place, serving soul food, which is historically black cuisine, but the restaurant was white. Both the people in there, the patrons and the staff, except for he said he saw a black cook in the kitchen. Lordy Lord. At any rate, I mean, it's just woo. At any rate, the article goes on to detail that the music that was being played. So let me give you the lineup of the songs that were played while he was here. Now, mind you, context again: white restaurant. I mean, white ownership, white people, one black cook. Trey's black. He's eating because he was in the South and wanted some soul food. So he says he goes on to hear Q-Tip. Then he goes on to hear Outkast, Jay-Z, and Frank Ocean. And Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar. All right. So he hears this litany of black music. Yet, he doesn't see any black people in a black city. So if you know anything about New Orleans is certainly being gentrified. Big time. You know, it started Hurricane Katrina when they refused to essentially rebuild the lower Ninth Ward for black people. And then they start gentrifying it on those on that basis. Like, we're not gonna rebuild your cribs, but when white people came in, they started that. So now New Orleans isn't New Orleans, at least what we knew. It's not the
New Orleans.
It's not the Cash Money baby New Orleans.
It's not New Orleans.
No.
It's New Orleans.
It's a different situation now. So the article essentially touches on this phenomenon about blackness being sufficient and black people being insufficient or insignificant. So we obviously live in a city that has the most intense gentrification in the country. It is the most intense by a recent Washington Post report. Now, black people are still here. Black people are still in New Orleans, but black people aren't here the same way they used to be. And it really has rubbed many people the wrong way as it relates to culture. So a lot of people are asking themselves, how can white society, or really popular society that is non-black, be okay with black culture or use black culture, but are not okay with black people? And a lot of people call this erasure. A lot of people call this, what do you call it? What's the word?
Finger snaps.
What's the word?
I don't know.
When you're trying to use black people stuff, but not black people, and you're profiting off of it.
Culture vulture.
But the word that everybody talks about, they said Drake is this.
Appropriation.
There you go. A lot of people say that this is, black appropriation at the hands of white people. A lot of people just don't say anything. They say this is just the natural consequence of gentrification and everybody should just be okay with it. But I would liken it to the fact that we live in a society, right, where we have teams that are called the Indians, the Seminoles. In fact, the world is going to watch a football team called the Kansas City Chiefs with an emblem to match that come from native land this week in the Super Bowl. Yet, we do not celebrate Native American culture or Native American people. So this country has long been guilty of erasure, yet profiting off of people's culture. I think it's a big issue. I don't think. I know it's a big issue. I also know that the country has been wed to it for so long. I don't know if it ends. I don't. I just don't think it. In fact, I don't think it ends. I don't think that I've seen enough evidence of this country's sensitivity and willingness to do something about its history to say that, like, white people don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. They don't give a fuck. Like, it's about what they can have. That's what they care about. So they do like black music, but they don't really give a fuck about black people if it has something to do with them having to change the way that they're living. They don't give a fuck about them, about coming into somebody else's old neighborhood that they don't think they were taking care of. They don't care that less black. That's not a thing. And in a world where capitalism still rules, I don't think that it's gonna. The problem doesn't fix itself. People would have to change. So I think what he's getting at in this article, in fact, I don't really know what he's getting at. I think it's a moral appeal, but I don't think it does anything, bro. In fact, I know it don't do anything. It's a good article to read.
I didn't read the article.
That's the sum of it.
But based on what you just said, I believe that it's definitely racial issues, obviously. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is race and class mixed together because,
for sure,
my opinion on a lot of stuff that I see in this city, in a room, it could be a room full of black people. I still feel like it's certain things there that I'm just like, it sounds very similar to that setting.
That can be problematic for sure.
Yeah, but just to keep it on topic, yeah, I mean that we know when it comes to culture, when it comes to defining what's good, when in terms of like music, food, all that type of jazz, like we know like who sets the trends. So you should not be surprised when people with money come into, like, because you gotta think, who owns that restaurant, right? Are they from out of town? Are they an investor? They was like, oh, we're gonna do a nice New Orleans style restaurant, and we're gonna bring in this. We're gonna play all great music. They, maybe some days they play different type of music, but it's probably still black music, whether it's jazz, whether it's whatever. Like, because they trying to keep it culturally relevant in terms of what the business is, what it looks like. Really you're just selling food,
right,
in an experience. But like we know, it's not about maintaining those things. You're not trying to maintain that culture or build up anything for people to expand on it. Meaning, like, where are the people from that made this music? Where are the people from that invented this food that you're now profiting off of? How do you give back to that? I don't think most people think about that shit at all. And we just are in a messed up economy where basically there are black owned businesses with black patrons that will have all of those types of things, but it's just far in between for them to be maybe competitive, to be able to pay the rents in those same areas, and all of it, to have the right price points. Because we know, like, the economy for a long time has basically pushed black people out to own those same types of restaurants. I wouldn't have an issue if I knew the ownership, because I don't know who owns that restaurant. If the ownership of that restaurant was a local ownership and they just happened to cater to that demographic and they had all of the same music or whatever, like, I would not have any problems with that, because people got to eat. If you're in a side of town where these people feel comfortable eating, that's fine. But the real question to me, who started this business and what are their actual, like, practices in terms of who is their target demographic? What are they actually doing? You know what I'm saying? Because we know, you look at DC, for instance, people come in from all parts of the country, start a business here, and they fail. But people will put stuff in Shaw, for instance, and change the whole makeup of Shaw, where people that have been living there forever aren't there. But Shaw's the popping spot now. You got all the restaurants. You got all the pseudo hip restaurants. But these are not catered toward. These are catered for the new people. Now, they should have somewhere to eat. They should have somewhere to drink. But let's not act like people aren't being displaced. And if they are opening restaurants in Shaw or in Anacostia or wherever that are like really pseudo local restaurant, but they're not really local, then that's a problem. But what's the solution? You know what? Today I'm not even going to tackle that because I don't know. Because that's literally a workshop in a college PhD.
Yeah.
To say, because somebody will come on this show and try to tell you they have the solution, unless they are PhD and have like invested their life into this, they probably don't have the solution. Maybe they just read a book.
Yeah.
Because I've read books with solutions.
Yeah.
But none of these things have actually worked. Right? So like maybe in like pockets they've worked, but it's just bigger. This is a worldwide. Black people's issue is a worldwide issue.
For
It's
all
not
people.
a
Exactly.
local neighborhood. It ain't a DC Ward 8.
It's a people
Ward
issue.
6. It's a worldwide issue, and it's interconnected. The economy in the United States is connected to the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that the shit's just the way it is by mistake because people are just bad, no, it's designed this way because every economy is designed to have a class. Our class is just maybe based. It was more so based on racial classes or color, not even like whatever race is.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It was on appearance. So don't be
Yeah.
fooled.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it because, like, you know, there's like a lot of tricky elements to the idea of like not supporting or supporting unknowingly supporting businesses that what you would call appropriate culture yet deny people. I think it's very difficult, and I think that it all boils down to money, and it all boils down to power, especially when it comes to white people doing it. Because I think that for so long they've done it, right, or have at least had the privilege to do it, that now white people opening up Vietnamese restaurants doesn't seem odd, right? It doesn't seem weird. It doesn't seem out of the ordinary. You know, white people in this city open up all different types of cuisine, right? They may have taken a trip to Ethiopia and they open up an Ethiopian restaurant, right? And maybe the food is authentic and maybe it's not, but we go there because at least and when I say we, I mean people go there because it is extremely how can I say it, normal to see that. Now, if an Ethiopian,
is it wrong?
Now, I don't think it. I'll get to that because I don't think it's wrong. But like an Ethiopian, right? Let's say an Ethiopian goes to
McDonald's.
No, let's say an Ethiopian goes somewhere in the let's say Ethiopian goes somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, or the North. You know,
Germany.
Places like I'm talking about America. Places like, you know, Idaho and places like North Dakota and South Dakota. They go up there, and they come to the city, and they decide they want to make a cuisine based off of Appalachia or somewhere that's native to white, or somewhere like the Rocky Mountains, you know, whatever that culture eats and indulges in, right? Or they want to sell goods that are native.
Snow cones.
They want to sell goods that are native to Appalachia or are native to, you know, the Rocky Mountain region and these really, really white places. What I'm offering is white people would not buy those things. And I have not seen enough evidence because the reality is if they would, we would be doing it. Other people would be doing
it. Like if they go to a white
I'm saying if the
area.
Yeah, if the pendulum swung the other way, other people would be doing it. The reason why a lot of people culturally stick to their own is one, they're very proud of it and it's pronounced. But two, they can't do the same thing in white culture that white people can do in black in other people's culture.
Because, and I just made this up. I'm making it up right now as I go. It's, you know, I believe it's authentic because they went on a trip and they posted a photo on Instagram.
Right.
So I believe it.
Right.
Where maybe and I'm talking about like the white person that does the thing in DC. But maybe people wouldn't believe it was authentic for, say, American second generation Chinese person to have grown up in Appalachia, which they could have.
Of course.
So like, but
I'm sure there are
But
some.
when people ask you, where are you from? I'm from West Virginia. And they're like, no, but where are you from? So it's like the perception is just not believable you to have that, where the other person, it doesn't have to be. It's just like, well, they're an expert. They're a traveler, world traveler. I spent 6 months in
in
Nepal. I learned how to sew hand baskets with my toenails.
And then I'm gonna come back to America and say, like, it is a phenomenon that happens where the pendulum swings one way. And I think that it only swings one way for a very particular reason. Now, I will say this about cities like Washington and New York City and all these other places. So you have these big metropolitan places with these, cross section of diverse millennials who, I'm going to be fair, they don't give a fuck either. Now,
they do not.
Now, I'm not going to necessarily put the weight on them to have to care because it's their choice. But if you have a large population of people who don't give a fuck, they're going to go to the restaurant because that's where they want to go, or because it has enough of a feel and an ambiance, then it is what it is at that point. You can't even really talk shit. Like if it's a situation where, let's say you are Mexican, not even first generation, you're Mexican. Your mom, your dad is Mexican, but you're also somebody who works at Google. And the new Mexican restaurant El Tiempo down the street comes to your neighborhood, and it's white people. In DC, you're going to go to El Tiempo. You're going to go there. Now, I say that because there have been plenty of white-run Mexican restaurants that have come to, and Latino restaurants that have come to parts of this city, particularly Mount Pleasant and Columbia Heights, places where they have Latino and Mexican populations, and also these Latino and Mexican people of Latino and Mexican descent are millennials who are of the DC young professional culture. And they patronize those places.
But should they not?
And the same for black people when it comes to places like Busboy and Poets who celebrate black culture, right? Like in what people may consider to be really authentic ways or whatever. Celebrate black culture. Yet our urbanites are young and are going to go to Busboys not only because they feel some type of cultural, connection, but also it has the hip city thing that they want. So they're not going to go to Keith and Sons, which is right on the border in Capitol Heights. They're not going to they're not even going to seek out somewhere like that, because while they are authentic and they are soul food for real, it lacks the city vibe. They're urbanites, So when you're an urbanite, it has to kind of come in the package you want it to come in too. And I think that that's where at least white developers and white business people really can get in on the fact that, yes, we're not authentic. Yes, we're white. Also, yes, we have the pretty package that these urbanites who may be of this culture, of this descent, like. And they might not go home to their mom and say, these tamales are authentic, or they're not going to go to Busboys and talk to their mom about the rice and peas or the black eyed peas was just like mama's. They're not gonna say no stupid shit like that, but it is gonna be a situation where they can go and have that feeling. You know
what the trick is?
That best of both worlds.
I'm gonna tell you how they get it. This is how they get you. Because I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with going to a restaurant,
right?
At all. So just put that out there. But they get you with the infusion. Where they tell you, oh, it's a fusion. Then you don't know what the hell to expect.
This is an Asian fusion.
It's an Asian. French. It's a Brazilian and fusion. French.
They do hit you with that.
Hispaniola. They do. Like it's all of that mixed in one dish.
No, you're right.
Now you can't claim anything. What are you looking for?
Let's just take the black out.
It's the black. It's a black and Korean.
No, you're right.
And it's a Blasian.
Let's do
it's a Blasian
let's
plate.
do a cornbread and squash muffin. And you like, what, huh?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I'm used to cornbread muffins.
Have you heard of New American cuisine?
Yeah, I have.
I'm like, what the hell is a New American? What the hell is a New American? When I think of New American, I think of hold up, excuse me.
That was a magazine, I think.
I think of like
quick minute.
Somebody crossing the border. Like when I think of a New American,
like a New American,
like that's what
like
I
a
think.
literal.
They just got over the border. Like they made it. That's a New American. That's what I think of. So that's not when I go to New American Cuisine. I'm like, what is this? This looks like French food.
It's a construction. It's a constructed idea that, like you said, really has no original place, but it revolves around the idea that people like cultural food.
It's literally
and we're
French
gonna
food.
put it together.
It's like French food
We're gonna put it
without
together.
the gravy. Like that's what New American is.
I don't dine at those places, but I know that like there's been several,
Plenty of wine and bread.
There's been several restaurants that I've gone to recently that have been nice. Shout outs to Succotash. Shout outs to
We're not giving no shout outs.
Rasika.
We're not giving no shout outs.
I mean, if you
Stop
ever
giving
find
shout outs.
Yeah, until they
unless
pass.
you cutting a check, you
Yeah.
don't get a shout out.
If you happen to go in these places. Now, these places are under a certain banner. Like, this is this is fine cuisine, right? This is fine Indian cuisine, or it's fine cuisine. Now, I didn't do my research in terms of who owned it, and I don't know. What I will say is I would be in this case like guilty if someone say, "Oh, like, have you had this cuisine?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to such and such," and they'd be like, "Man, get the fuck out of here. That's not." And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, it was a nice restaurant though."
Cornbread succotash.
And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you might be right. It was a nice vibe though." So it's a situation where I'm guilty because I've been to
the cornbread.
I've been to
The cornbread succotash.
I've been to these places, and it's hard when you are an urbanite,
The braised beef.
but you don't want like the whack experience. These people out here know what you like, man. They know how to give you what you like. They know how to
you're a
shut down a
new
restaurant and open
American.
another one, and it's the same thing, but they just change it a little bit.
The restaurant. The dishes is gonna be the new Negro dish.
Please don't do that.
The new Negro.
Grand opening, grand closing.
No, it's not the name of the restaurant.
Oh, somebody have a new. That's okay. So people.
It's the new Negro cuisine.
Cuisine.
The new Negro cuisine. It's not the old Negro cuisine. It's the new Negro cuisine.
Gotcha.
So it's like, it's kind of like a soul food thing, but it's not soul food. It's just clean. Because there's none of that sodium. And
Well,
all
they
that.
got places like that.
But we're going to call it
you're
the
gonna
new
name it
Negro cuisine.
But Negro cuisine isn't a thing.
It doesn't matter. It's American cuisine a thing?
No, it's new soul food. Do you want to
No,
say that?
The new Negro cuisine.
But Negro cuisine is never a thing.
Look, it just sounds good. Like, when did they start calling people black?
In the 60s.
You sure? Was it?
Well, that's when
widely-
it became a political term. They were Negroes before that.
Okay, coloreds.
Oh, that was a long time. And that never. Yeah. That
Look.
was,
Hey, new Negro.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
Would you eat new Negro cuisine?
no.
Would you
Not
cook
with
it?
that name.
Why not?
Because I don't.
What would you eat? Would it have to be
I
a
don't-
new black person?
I don't
cuisine?
like black. I wouldn't like or respect a black person that called another black person a Negro or use the word Negro. That would
Look,
feel
we're
weird.
not calling the people.
I know that.
we call it
No,
the
it's
food.
the food. I know.
You don't respect people that call food.
Nah, I would be very fishy if somebody who
What if we serve fish?
no.
You said you'd be fish.
You couldn't put
That was a
Negro.
bad joke.
You couldn't put Negro in it. You couldn't put Negro.
Okay.
You could put something
Well,
else.
we'll
on
put
it.
that on the back shelf.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
now.
That would be a
We'll shelf it.
a PR disaster.
The new Negro cuisine.
The last thing I want to get to, which is also about race, but this is a different spin though. So everybody knows. I want to say his name right. My man Daniel Kaluuya, most notably known for Black Panther,
The traitor in Black Panther.
also known for Queen and Slim,
Mm-hmm.
also known for Get Out. Very, very popular actor from the UK, black guy from the UK. Good person from what I understand, and interesting fellow from what I understand. I'm going to read verbatim from the article. So I'm going to start at this graph. It says, this year's Oscar and BAFTA shortlist received heavy criticism for the lack of diversity, but Kaluuya said he did not want to be pushed into becoming a spokesperson for black actors. What is there to talk about? What is there to talk about race? He said, it's just boring to me. What's the debate? I'm more of a doer. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Now, that sounds like a Negro who has never had to really deal with racism, you know. But
all I can think. It's a new Negro.
You know, it's just like
he eating that new Negro
it's just
cuisine.
like, well,
that's what I'm. This is who I'm trying to serve these new Negro cuisines to.
But to be fair, he's 30, and I'm certainly not gonna discredit the black experience in the UK, because I have black friends from the UK, and they definitely tell me about
black friends in the UK.
Well, no, because I think black people in America sometimes limit the idea of what they've gone through to just America, but black people across the world have gone through all types of shit, right? So like they have also their own history and things. So all I'm trying to say here is, Daniel, I hear what you're saying, but what it sounds like you're saying is that black people who do talk about race in an overt way aren't doing anything. Or it does sound what you're saying is that race somehow isn't a big deal. Now, I know that the topic of race is tiring. Damn, it's tiring. I don't be wanting to talk about that shit. And a lot of times I don't. But the reality is the world ain't tired yet. The world still very much bases things off of race. So I get what I love the fact that he said he's a doer, right? So I feel that, like, you know, whatever it is in your space, you do it. You don't allow yourself to be limited. Also, don't limit the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's what he did. I'm not saying he did that. But I am saying that the idea of race is so palpable and so everyday when it comes to things like our criminal justice system, when it comes to our education system, when it comes to our economic system. Every system is marred by it, that you probably want to say nothing at all if you feel like you're tired of it, because the reality is there are people fighting for the fact that you even are on the screen. Look, you know. Look. So I'm not hating on Daniel, and Daniel didn't sound like he was being naive to it. He just was saying, like, you know,
that's an excerpt. That sounds like
I ain't gonna speak for all black folks.
A one-liner from an interview, probably. So
yeah, exactly.
I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. I get where he's coming from.
Sounds like a cool dude too.
So at the end of the day, so I'm gonna use this example. Damon Dash. Almost every interview, somebody throws out a subliminal message about a question where he has to kind of reference Jay-Z in some form or fashion. Even if it's not direct reference, it's like the Rockefeller days. Obviously, this is a big part of his life. This is where we know him from initially. For some people, that's only where they know him from, if they even know. But it has to be tiring to have other things going on in your life, and everybody always wants to hear about this Jay-Z shit. Yeah. When it's literally a million interviews.
It's been what, 20 years?
It's a million interviews.
Years?
It ain't been 20, but about 50. Like 15? It's been a million interviews where you can go find this answer, like literally on huge platforms. You can go get the answers that you're looking for. He's already addressed it. So for him he's responding like, look, you never really asked the other side. You always asking me. He's like, I respond. I mean, it is what it is. And it ain't that serious. But like, just ask. Like, go ask Jay-Z. Nobody asks him any of these questions, right? That has to be like irritating as hell. So the people asking black actors certain questions maybe need to ask white actors or like other people. Like, ask the other people in the industry what they feel. Because that might actually be more revealing of what you actually want to find out. Because, like, you already know what he's going to say. Like, you already know what 99% or, well, not 90, well, 85% of people in Hollywood that are black, they're probably going to respond in a similar manner. Just ask the other people. If you really want to know what's going on. What's going on? Yeah. Go ask their white coworkers.
No, you're right. I've always kind of been fucked up about that too, because I've always thought to myself, like, man, why do people, meaning white people, always ask black people about race?
About shit that they
Why
didn't
don't
start.
they ask white people
Why are you asking
about
somebody
race?
about something that they did not create?
Why don't they ask white people
Why would you
about
ask
race-based questions?
to solve a problem that they did not create? I did not create this problem. Stop asking me about it. I'm just dealing with it. Like
I've actually always thought about that. Like, what are white people doing about racism? Like, I understand that racism, at least in modern day, was about the way that a lot of people dealt with it was black people and people of color advocating. I get that. And everybody gets that. Everybody's felt that. But yeah, like, ask white people, particularly white people in these industries, in these systems, ask them about racism, because they have just as much to do, if not more, with it. I'm sure they'll use plausible deniability and be like, well, you know, we don't practice that, we don't believe that, but obviously it's a lie. It's a lie.
Look, man.
White people don't press other white people out about race.
They do not press them out about it at all.
They don't.
So let's look at it.
I don't even think they care to ask them.
Because they don't even, it's not even a thought.
Nah.
Right?
Nah.
You just want to hear the emotional response. That's really what you're trying to get. You are, as an interviewer or whoever, trying to get an emotional response from this actor, from this black actor. You know what? That emotional response ain't going to help you. It's just going, oh, you know, I just feel, you know, I agree with you. Like, so what? It doesn't matter. Like, thank you. But, like, it's okay. It's not that serious. I don't want to talk about this shit. This is just some regular, everyday, systematic shit. I don't sit here and dwell on that shit all the time. Right. It ain't on my mind every day. You might hear me talk about it on the podcast, but it ain't on my mind constantly. Right? So, just ask somebody else.
Yeah, I think
that's the real answer. That's what the real answer is.
I like that. I mean, I think that we as people, as a society, like, I also realize what I'm asking here, because if you ask a white person about race, which I have had the misfortune of fielding their answers. Now, not to say that black or white people have any better answers or worse, but it's not exactly. It's not exactly what you want to hear. Now, it's not
about what you want to hear.
Right. It's just like, man, I could have actually saved my breath.
But you asked.
I have had extremely, and this is real. Shout out to all the people, white, black, non-black people rather, that I've had extremely engaging conversations about race with, where they have told me how they feel in a very unapologetic way, which I appreciate, you know, and put some real life ideas in my head about how they feel about race. Because I will say this, of the people that I've had, the non-black people who I've had deep conversation with about race, they are extremely connected, yet also realize that when you're a white person that talks about race, white people don't listen to you like that. So they have told me, like, you know, like, I'll bring it up, you know, or I'll talk about it, or but a lot of white people don't engage them. Like, when you talk to, especially in DC, particularly liberal white people who ride hard, they usually have only people of color as friends. Now, this is my experience, but like the people who might ride hard for social justice, for racial, for equity, for all these different things, they're either married to somebody of color, or, you know, they have a partner of somebody of color, or like most of their friends are people of color. Because in one way or another, maybe because they are so outspoken, or maybe they're unapologetic about it, they don't have white friends, because their white friends may not feel as passionate about it, or maybe just don't feel as I guess versed in what they're talking about to, you know, be real close with them. Or maybe they have like their white friends who they don't talk about that shit with, and they have their black friends or people of color who they do talk about that shit with. You know what I'm saying? And it's just maybe two separate worlds.
I talk about
that has been my. I do too. But everybody doesn't
responses.
have. Everybody don't have that luxury.
I got friends where I be saying shit and like they don't have nothing to say, and I'm like, all right, like I'm like, hey. It is what it is. Hey. I got this on my mind right now, and I'm about to speak my mind.
That's real.
Like, I don't really expect the response necessarily unless you feel like it.
That's real.
You could just bark, right? You know, that's it.
Or
that's
meow.
an option. Or meow. That's
or howl.
Thing. There it is. So, you know, I
or
just
hiss.
Think, oh, that's different. That's a little different. Don't hiss at me now. So, like,
that was wild.
I think when it comes to figuring out if you're asking for the purposes of understanding, then maybe the real understanding, because you know you can just Google a response, you're gonna get the same black actor response. But in terms of understanding, you need to ask these questions to your circle, not to fix your circle necessarily, but to understand the root and connect the dots. Connect these dots, la 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 la, and you'll get a better understanding of the root. Because a lot of, you know, I think I have a good understanding of a lot of things when it comes to that, and I don't really have it may not even align with like what all black people may think or assume at all, because my experience may be different than yours. So, like, I may have been exposed to different things, but I know what I know, and when it comes to understanding, sometimes you just watch and you listen, but you don't watch the victim.
Oh, that's good.
You don't watch the victim.
Stop watching that's good. I like that. I actually like that. That's a really good one. And I think as a society, we've certainly grown accustomed to watching the victim and asking the victim, how does it feel, motherfucker? It hurt. It's not great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not great. Like, you know, and I can only imagine, you know, like I said, our ancestors and our foremothers and forefathers who had to go through, you know, much more strenuous, much more life changing and life compromising situations.
You just made me think about all the stories of Harriet Tubman and the 70 trips and you know, all the different, you know, even John Brown. You know, throw John Brown in there. You think of all these people that have gone through the, you know, what was going on with these people that they was fighting? What was their day to day? What was they doing day to day? The people you was trying to escape, the people that you was fighting, what was the other side doing on a day to day basis? You do not get these analysis of the day
from the slave master
lives.
No, you're right.
Or even whoever else,
or whoever
working
the sideline.
What were they doing day to day? What was it?
A lot of hating and a lot of killing.
That was the day to day thought process,
and that shit had to be. Think about. I always thought about this, right? Not necessarily a slave master. I don't want to go into that. But let's say you were a tried and true racist, like a 1908 racist. You know, like you was deep in it, right?
Every day.
To think about how strong racism was back then, because people were really doing, you know, everything in their power to really, you know, break systems. How hard, like you said, how much work did they have to put in to preserve them? I'm talking about they had to be having meetings with the bankers. They had to have meetings with all the heads of society to be like, all right, y'all, we about to start this shit, but you know we got to do this, 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 and this so that people don't get it. All right, y'all, we about to do this, but you know we got to do this, this, and this so they don't. Everything was marred by race. So all the new things that came out and all the jobs and all the industries and all the land and all this shit, there was a plan.
We have to create a law.
There were plans.
What was the data?
They was working hard.
It's about psychology.
Motherfuckers was working hard.
The psychology of the victim is not as relevant when it comes to your understanding of the situation. It's about the other side.
Because think about this.
We don't learn about the other side.
I don't even want to go too much into it. Martin Luther King gave his life to civil rights and equity and equality. There was anti Martin Luther King that gave his life to hate. Like, can you believe that? Like,
it's the opposite side of look.
Think about how hard Martin Luther King worked in what he ultimately sacrificed. There was also an anti Martin Luther King that worked just as hard to keep people hate-filled and separate and oppressed.
Them people throwing rocks.
Wow.
What about the person throwing rocks in the crowd at the black folks marching peacefully? When they went home, they ate their peas and rice and their rotisserie. Look at their day-to-day life. What did they eat in the morning? What did they do? What church did they go to?
Yeah, because they have whole lives.
What would jive? Who do they work with?
Who they talking about this hate every day?
This will help you understand what you actually are trying to figure out by asking this black actor about whatever it is you want to know about him in the industry. Ask the other people that are controlling the industry what their day-to-day life is like.
People were working so hard. Like that, when you think about the people who were working hard to dismantle these systems, right, and ultimately pay their life, and there were people working equally as hard to keep them in place. There's a man
the anti Martin.
You ever think about that? Like,
that's wild. That's a wild concept.
You think about that it wouldn't be a great movie in the sense of the content, but it would be a great watch to see the lengths and the depths that people went through to keep hate alive and continue to go through to keep hate alive. Because you think of how many black people and all people sacrificed to dismantle the shit or to try to dismantle the shit in their own ways. Think about all the people who gave their lives to keep it up or are giving their lives to keep it up. You're giving your life to keep hate alive. Bruh. You're dying to keep hate alive? That's wild.
Sweating. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Working hard.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
To go against the forces of good and love that are trying to keep stuff up. You're lying, you're cheating, you're stealing, you're backdoor dealing, you're murdering, you're doing everything you can to keep hate alive. And America is a hate. Think about that in an American context. We've done all this stuff. We'd have all these leaders. Yet all this shit still happens. Think about all the people in this country who are working hard to keep hate alive, working overtime.
The anti.
Talk about motherfuckers working for free, not getting paid. They showing up volunteering for hate. That's a wild concept.
Ideology.
That's a wild concept. I don't think I've ever thought about it in that way.
This is what you want to know. This is what you actually want to know. This is.
I want to see that movie.
It's not about the actor.
I want to see how hard he working.
The role. He gonna get a role from Tyler Perry.
He working like Kobe worked. R.I.P. Kobe. He working like Kobe worked to keep hate alive.
But the bad Kobe.
Yeah.
The bad Kobe. That's what this person is. Like, he had the Mamba mentality, but it was like for bad stuff. And
for people who are spiritual, the devil work hard too. I realized that. I had to get older to really set that in. The devil works hard too. The spirit of evil works hard too. They work hard. So hard work is part of it, but your soul got to be right, because you can work hard for negative things. You can work hard for fatal outcomes.
The question that you need to ask this black actor is, what do you do,
Daniel? We need you on the show, bro.
Sanity in this industry.
Yeah.
And then maybe you might not get a good answer, because that's a little deep. But something like that. Not necessarily like what do you feel about this? Like, it don't matter. Like, he feels he just got to deal with it. It's just normal. It's every day. Like, you're just dealing with it. But like, what is your outlet? Like, what do you do for when you when you feel in a certain type of way? What's your outlet? That's a good question.
It's a very good question.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we already know how he feels about it. He don't want to talk about that shit. Like, it's the reason he don't want to talk about it. He don't want to be the spokesperson. I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to be
about
reminded of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Well, our time is up.
It is.
But I did.
Time's up.
I got an insight. I got insight today. Like, man, just think. I want to leave y'all with this. If you just tuning in or whatever, hate works hard too.
Mm-hmm.
Evil works hard too. So it ain't all about hard work more than it is about intention and where you coming from a spiritual place. Because evil work hard too. There's people that's working hard to keep you in situations. That's giving their life. Just like people are giving their life to freedom, people giving their life to bondage. People giving their life to hate. So think above just the action and get to that deep place. I don't know what that place is.
PhD, player hater degree.
Man.
There it is.
We're gonna end off on that note. But fun show. Peace and love. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant, the Otter Belly family, the Mauser family, and anybody else who didn't wake up yesterday or who won't wake up tomorrow. Peace and love and light. Blessings.
Shoot your shot.
That's all you got.
Bang.
Peace.